He is the host of the Green Light Podcast, once again back here on the Rich Eisen Show, two-time Super Bowl champion on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line, Chris Long. How you doing, Chris?
What's up, Rich? What's the word, man?
Well, I mean, we've been having some interesting conversation here. Had Jim Nance on earlier, talked about the schedule. What else are we doing? You got a lot going on around here. How are you doing?
NBA playoffs tonight, Rich.
Oh, yeah. The NBA playoffs. This has been a lot of fun. I mean, even though the Game 7 stunk, hockey had the best Game 7 Sunday.
Okay.
But it was awesome.
Okay. All that. Also, got a buddy here on the show who said back in his day he was faster than Lawrence Taylor. He said that.
Who said that?
Mike, you want to just chime in here?
Chris, I've said that. I'm very good friends with your father. You know Howie, your father.
Yeah.
So
You do know
obviously,
Howie, yes.
Yes, I stated the
very
fact, being a cross-country runner, that I could easily have stayed up or, if not, beaten Lawrence Taylor in a race. I was in like the top probably 10, 15 cross-country runners in my state, and I ran track for 3 years of high school and played hockey and weighed probably about 115, 20 pounds.
You know guys like this, right, Chris?
Yeah, sure. Like you're talking distance running, you could beat Lawrence Taylor, but you're saying in off the like a 5-7 yard, 10-yard split.
Yeah, I'm saying about 10. I'd give you 10 yards. I'd take 10 yards. I would take them. I'm telling you.
You were asking us earlier what his 40 time was.
I want to, Chris, being honest, I always argue with people in bars all the time because they always come up and they want to argue about how they see you guys on TV and they're like, oh, I could tackle it. This isn't that type of argument. This is, if Lawrence Taylor got me, he'd kill me. I won't even doubt that. But
But he would never got you.
He would never get me. That's the fact. I would run away from him. He wouldn't have caught me. That's what I was saying.
You know who thought that?
Well,
Joe Theismann.
Hopefully you never have to find out. That's the great part about this.
That is the great part about this, is that we can never go back in time. But you must. Do you have people who come up to you and say stuff like that to you, Chris, in your day?
Yeah, but honestly, I'm not Lawrence Taylor, so there's a good chance maybe somebody could beat me in a race.
Oh, come on now. You're Chris Long, though. I mean,
I know, but we're talking about LT, and when I first heard that, I thought this guy must be on drugs. He thinks he can beat Lawrence Taylor in a race, but obviously he's coherent and he just really believes that.
What's that Costanza lie? What's that Costanza lie?
Not a lie.
It's not a lie.
It's not a lie if you believe it. So
I believe it.
Yeah, that's the key.
Okay, very good. Hey, look, we had Brad Holmes of the Lions front office on the show the other day.
I heard that.
You heard about that, right? And he goes back to his St. Louis Rams days and scouted you, and he said Aidan Hutchinson is Chris Long in his mind. That's what he said.
What a shock! What a shock, huh?
Why do you say that, Chris? Why do you say that?
They're all me, huh? They're all me. We can't get a Nick Bosa in here. We can't get Carl Nassib or when did we skip Kyle Vandenbosch and all these guys? Why does it always have to be me?
I don't know. Maybe you're the ultimate standard. Maybe it's that, Chris.
So
Could
here's
be
the
that.
deal. Brad Holmes is the man. Like, Brad Holmes used to be in St. Louis, really cutting his teeth early on. And so when he got the Detroit job, I was super psyched for him. But that was pretty funny, the story. He said that, Aidan had a jug of water, and I had a gallon jug of water when he met me and Aidan respectively for the first time. And so that makes sense. The comp is complete. We're both hydrated.
Well,
I love Aidan Hutchinson, man. He's a ball player, dude. The thing is, I just don't I've met Aidan Hutchinson in person. He's been on my show. Then I met him at the draft. Met his parents. They're awesome. And he dwarfed me. I mean, it's the same thing when somebody comped me to Max Crosby. I stand next to Max Crosby, I feel like a kid. So I think sometimes these comps are a little bit. But hey, Brad Holmes is the one who broke me down and broke Aidan down as well. And if that's the comp, so be it. Good. I guess good for him. Some people would say not good for him, but I don't know how many people watch me play in St. Louis, and probably the same people aren't going to watch him play in Detroit.
what do you think of the Jaguars' decision to go with Walker over Hutchinson, Chris? What do you think of that
It seemed
one?
like a bulky kind of decision, right? You want that kind of physical upside, the testing numbers, that sort of thing. I really like Trayvon Walker. I think if you look at Trayvon Walker and he was playing in the early 2000s, late 90s, there's a lot more guys that look like him, from a size and a length standpoint. And he's a little bit built like an old school kind of 4-3 defensive end before it got real rushery the last 10, 15 years. But, like, this dude is, he's sideline to sideline fast, so he's going to clean up a lot of plays. You're kind of projecting upside as you do with some of these, like, Georgia-type players that maybe that scheme wasn't real conducive to him making a lot of plays. The kid at Florida State who Joe Douglas got, your guys at, 17, Rich, he didn't show out at Georgia. I think, like, you're always projecting upside. The only concern I have is, like, when you take a guy that high, and this is coming from a guy that missed a lot of sacks in the NFL, like win a rush, miss a sack, fall off the quarterback, I don't think he's the best finisher. So, if you're looking up at the end of year 2 and 3 and you're trying to justify by sack numbers, sometimes you might look at Trayvon Walker and say, well, the sacks don't add up, but he probably disrupted a whole lot more than he's going to get the credit for on the stat sheet. So I like the pick. My favorite upside player was obviously the guy the Giants got. I think Kayvon, none of the stuff that I heard, as far as like interviews or his confidence, as if that's a bad thing, would scare me away from grabbing a kid like that. So I think with Link and everything, that's a really good pick there too.
What do you mean by upside? What do you mean?
Oh, what I mean by upside is, like, when you draft Aidan Hutchinson, the reason they're comparing Aidan Hutchinson to me is I hear the word like safe a lot. Like the upside isn't there. I always think of myself as a guy that probably, played out as like a top 10 to 15 player and, not a number 2 or number 3 or number 4 pick. So, the floor is not real low with Aidan Hutchinson. But the ceiling with Thibodeau is so high because of his kind of twitchiness, of his burst, of his like kind of bend around the edge. I think he's real fluid, and he projects as kind of an edge guy purely. But the thing I think that people like about Hutchinson, and maybe a reason that Brad might compare us, is I was a 3-4 defensive end at Virginia, and it took me a year and a half to figure out how to play on an edge. But the good side of that is in the prime of my career, I played in a 4-eye in Greg Williams defense. So, you can do a lot of stuff with Aidan Hutchinson. He might not have the upside from a sack total standpoint as like a pure 4-3 rusher or an outside backer, but you're going to be able to move him around, and he's going to set the edge and play the run as well.
And also the upside is that Kayvon Thibodeau might not be able to beat Mike Del Tufo in a running race, right, being for the Giants.
That we can find out right now.
Well, I guess we won't be able to compare the generations, Mike, right?
I'm a little bigger than I was back then.
Understood. We'll just have to stipulate. Chris Long here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so I can't believe Baker Mayfield is sitting around waiting to find out his future right now. What about you, as we're in the middle of May?
You can't believe that?
No, I can't. I'm surprised.
I don't know. We came from the, like, you think quarterbacks don't grow on trees. This is a guy who led Cleveland to the playoffs. Basically, I mean, you look at that jersey with all the guys' names taped on the back, the Cleveland Browns jersey, the thing that's gone viral the past couple of years. They like all the quarterbacks that have failed there over the last 20 years. He's probably, ironically, the guy who's had the most success, but he's going to end up being the most hated. And I don't know that I feel bad for him because, we make decisions that we make, like playing hurt is a calculated risk. It's one that I would tell guys who are financially secure and have a situation where they can afford to be safe. I would counsel younger guys to not do that. And obviously you see why, because nobody cares that he was hurt, right? I believe he was hurt, but nobody cares. And that's the risk you take. You think, hey, that's going to put me in better standing with the organization, respect among my peers, all this, that, and the third. But fast forward a year, and he's getting ripped apart for going on podcasts and talking about X, Y, Z, and he can't find a home. So it sucks. But this is the risk he took. And I got to say this, like Baker Mayfield, he's made a lot of mistakes. He said some things that I believe he probably wants back. But I never heard anybody hate Baker Mayfield until he started sucking at football. So my thing is, like, it's about performance. If he can get healthy and he can get one more opportunity, I'm not saying I'm betting on him turning it around 100%, but I'm sure you'll see something north of what we saw this last year. And I think he got pretty toxic in Cleveland. And I don't blame him for not going to the Bahamas and stuff like that. It's like I think he's going to sit for a while. I think because of the recent developments with, the league and looking closer into this Deshaun Watson stuff, before the civil cases are wrapped up or, concluded. I think this is going to be a situation where maybe we're going to see a suspension this year. That's what people are speculating. So he probably won't move. Maybe he doesn't move, or maybe Carolina's got a really good poker face, or Seattle has a really good poker face. But you could see him start multiple games for Cleveland this year in one of the most awkward situations probably in the last 5 years when it comes to quarterback.
But I wouldn't want to do that if I was him. And I understand you got to take an opportunity when you can get it. But my pushback on that would be he just played for them hurt, and look what happened. What if he's out there again and suddenly he's like, yeah, my arm hurts and I did this the last time and look what happened to me. I'm not going to do that again for you. Certainly for a team that's going to bench me after 6, 7, 8 weeks. So I'm out. Put Jacoby Brissett in there anyway, and I'll just stand there with an earbud in my ear. And he's really hurt, and everybody now thinks he's jaking it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this can go so sideways and I wouldn't trust it anymore. I just say my best opportunity is to sit on the couch and everyone wonder what I would look like in their uniform. Why give them anything to hang their hat on after that happened?
I mean,
right?
you could go about things that way, no question. But where's his leverage, man? Like, nobody wants him right now. And you think it's going to change? I mean, like, maybe somebody's going to get hurt, and that's inevitably going to happen, and somebody's going to have to reach for him, before the trade deadline. But I don't know, Rich, man. I'm putting myself in those shoes. Like, you could convert some of that anger into productivity and try to use the Browns and their need for you, legitimate need for you, because they think they're a contender next year. And if Deshaun comes back week 7, week 8, they're thinking, hey, if we're 4-3, we can make a run at home field advantage. Or if we get out of this thing, above 500, they need Baker Mayfield. So it's in their best interest for him to succeed. And it's in his best interest for him to succeed as well. So I feel like, yeah, you could look at it that way, but you might be cutting your nose off, to spite your face.
A couple more minutes left with Chris Long here on the Rich Eisen Show. When I saw that Russell Wilson was going to get his first game as a Bronco in Seattle, I thought to myself, well, that'll be a terrific game to watch. I mean, that is just going to be get your popcorn ready type stuff. And then I started thinking about Russell Wilson instead of me being a fan sitting on the couch talking about Monday Night Football. I thought that was like zero chill, right? For out of the schedule makers. Or would you, Chris Long, think that just get it out of the way? I'm hearing that philosophy as well. What do you think about this?
I would say get it out of the way because I don't think Seattle is going to be very good. Now I don't think I'm going on a limb saying that, but I would say get it out of the way. Right? There's so many great storylines and awkward handshakes we can weave into the schedule, and we get the Commanders, hosting Doug Peterson. So you get Carson and the Commanders. You get a whole. I went through it the other day, and it's one thing the NFL is very good at is kind of weaving these storylines and the sports calendar and all that stuff. I mean, just even us talking about the schedule with the kind of enthusiasm that we were last week.
Yeah.
There's the NBA playoffs going on, and we're looking at what a bunch of 18-year-olds chefed up on Adobe, to throw out for the schedule release post. Like that was the talk of the day. So I think the NFL's got this nailed.
You're not going Taylor Lewan on me, are you? Saying that
no, dude,
that it's overrated?
That was absolutely brutal.
my response to him about being
that was funny. I hit him up right away. I mean, that was just to check on him, see if he needed some water.
You're a good water guy like that. Water boys,
yes,
right?
I mean, dude, stay hydrated.
You got to do that. Yeah. Yeah, I texted him too to say, hey man, like, all good. I hope you're fine, and he was
the Michigan on Michigan stuff.
I know. But he knows I love him and his show, even though it has no motor.
But it doesn't have a motor, dude. I was just there.
It still does not have a motor, right, Chris? It doesn't have a motor?
That thing's not pulling off that lot anytime soon.
Could you imagine if they put a motor in that thing and then took it around the country?
They'd take over the world.
They would. I know. I'm just trying to help and improve
that
things.
Will Compton guy.
Yes. That's my other favorite bit, as you know.
Yeah.
Last thing for you, Chris. You've seen Tom Brady be Tom Brady when he's not in front of a camera and he's in front of folks like you and he's being Tom Brady. And so everybody's ascribing the Brady that will show up into the booth when he's finally done is going to be the guy who tells you nothing, 90 to 100% of the time because that's the guy who has been face forward and face front the entire time. How good a job do you think he's going to do in the booth?
Well, again, listen, the media, we went through this whole thing last week where some people were a little bit upset about the Tom thing or thought he was making too much money. I just want to say this, the media is not a meritocracy, right? You know that, Rich.
Yes.
It's entertainment, so it's how much can you move the needle, and Tom Brady's going to move the needle a lot. So first and foremost is that. Secondly, I think, the market's going to change. I mean, he could play another 3 years. We haven't even confirmed those numbers. The market could change. It's the wide receiver market or something. So I think they're going to eventually get hopefully a good value out of this. And I think Tom's going to be better than people think. I really do. The wildest thing is, he went on the Manning cast, right, to kind of show his skills off or, kind of dip his toe in the water. And now he's taking one of these network seats. So I don't think we're going to see Peyton in one of those seats anytime soon, and I really wanted to see Peyton. It's just an interesting deal. It's an interesting musical chairs deal. It's the same thing with Drew Brees and, the news that came out this week and Chris Collinsworth signing an extension. These are very coveted seats, so I get how there's a lot of pressure on Tom to be great at it, but Tom's going to be great at it just by sitting down in the chair. He's going to move the needle effectively, and I do think he's interesting. I do think he's funny. He's not, he's got his own personality. He's not going to be Romo. I think he can be just as good as Romo and just as, if you want to look at what's the value of plopping a quarterback into a chair right out of, right off the field, look at what Romo's done. And that's a really good kind of, sign for the future for Tom Brady.
Of course.
Strahan did a great job. He made a bunch of money right off the field into the booth. So I think a lot of these guys do a pretty good job. I do feel for Greg Olsen, because I think Greg Olsen's the number one.
Well, I think, so do I. And I would be surprised, although crazier things had happened, that he won't be in the booth for Super Bowl this year. I think he and Burkhardt are terrific. Listen, I love the two of them together. I don't know. I don't know what Fox's plans are there. And I agree with you. What I was saying here is that there's not a single situation that Brady could be asked about during a game that he won't have an answer for.
Exactly.
Or a scenario like, hey, Tom, what's it like to be a young guy driving down the field to win a Super Bowl? What's it like to be an old guy driving down the field to win a Super Bowl? What's it like trying to win back-to-back?
Oh, yeah.
What's it like trying to win 3 in a row? What's it like not having won one at all and then winning one? What's it like, being
he
down?
Can't tell you about being down. Well, he has been down 25 points in the Super Bowl, but he can't tell you about being down a bunch of, going 1-15 or 2-14. That's his only blind spots.
That's true.
But right. I think it's all about, like you said, it's the way games are called, they're changing. And I think it's on the, Burkhardt, who's awesome, to tee him up to tell stories and to relate what's going on the field to anecdotes from his playing career. It's not as much hey, we do want to hear what the corner was doing in cover 2 and that sort of thing. And he'll be nails on that. But if he can mix in colorful stories and, almost do the game when appropriate, like a podcast, that's the way things are going. So I think Tom's going to be very good.
I agree with you. Chris, thanks so much, man. Greatly appreciate it. I love doing your show, and have me on anytime you want, and look for my call as always.
We will hit you up, brother. Thank you.
I'll be here. That's the great Chris Long at Joel91, all spelled out except for the 9 on Twitter, and at La Flama Blanca 95 on Instagram, right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.